The moment that will stay with you had nothing to do with the scoreline. Gio Reyna, with the game already won, curled the ball into the top corner in the dying seconds with the outside of his boot, just to put his name on a night that already belonged to him and his family, because in that same match, Sebastian Berhalter became the second American father-son duo to share a World Cup alongside the Reynas. But before any of that, Sebastian had stood in a room and read a letter from his father, Greg, the man who once told him he wasn't ready for this team, and broke down in tears at the words, "I'm proud of you because of who you are, not because of what you accomplished. You earned this. I love you, Dad." He had promised himself he wouldn't cry. He did. And honestly, so did everyone watching. Two events happened at the same time in the morning of June 12, 2026, the day after the World Cup started. Together, they tell you more about the state of football's world governance than any report or press release could. The governing body of European football announced in Salzburg, Austria, that Omar Artan, the African Confederation of Football Referee of the Year and the first Somali to be chosen for a World Cup, would be the referee for the 2026 UEFA Super Cup match between Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa on August 12th. Artan was the man who had been questioned for 11 hours at Miami International Airport before being sent home the day before the tournament started. He was the first African referee to ever be put in charge of a big UEFA final, even though the country hosting the World Cup didn't let him. Instead, European football gave him that chance. People in Miami asked FIFA's president about the problem and what the world's football governing body had done to fix it. He told them to take it easy, relax, and chill out. When asked about the rejection of a World Cup official chosen by his own organization, that's what the head of FIFA said. The official was 34 years old and had spent his whole career building up to a moment that was taken away from him at an airport on the morning of June 10th. Relax and chill out. At the same time, the president of UEFA released a statement saying that football brings people together and that European football wanted to show its respect for Omar and his outstanding officiating skills. At the same time, the president of African football thanked his friend Alexander Sefin for stepping in, and thousands of people in Mogadishu gathered at a stadium not for a football game but for a referee to welcome home a man who had come back without his dream and let him know he still mattered. Relax and chill out. That answer from the head of the group that runs the World Cup has become the sentence that best describes the institutional gap at the heart of the event. There is a difference between what the government says it stands for and what it does when a real person and a real situation try those values. Omar Artan was chosen by FIFA. FIFA added his name to the list of officials. FIFA advertised this game as being the most open in the history of the event. And when the border guards of the host country questioned the official for 11 hours before sending him away, the head of FIFA told the people who noticed to take it easy. What did this really happen? Also, why has Europe's quick, clear, institutional, and deeply meaningful reaction hit the football world so hard? This is not a single part of the story of Omar Artan and what happened after. Let's read it all the way through. It all started at an airport in Miami and finished with the strongest statement any football governing body has made this tournament, at least for now. Not in words, but in a meeting. Artan got to Miami on June 6th, and he was 34 years old. He was born in Somalia. His name has been on the list of FIFA international referees since 2018. He was in charge of the second game of the 2025-26 CAF Champions League final. He was named 2025's CAF Men's Judge of the Year. FIFA chose him from all the officials around the world to be one of 52 judges who will be in charge of games at the 2026 World Cup. He had a foreign passport with him. He had his FIFA card with him. All of his papers were in order. He had the right ticket. Someone from the border pulled him away. It took 11 hours of questioning. According to Artan, it was mostly about Al-Shabaab, the terrorist group that has been active in some parts of Somalia. It wasn't about his football career, his qualifications, or his FIFA paperwork for 11 hours. It was about a terrorist group. After that, he was put in a holding cell. After that, he was taken back to Istanbul by plane. Concerns about vetting were raised by the border officials. Nothing else was said to explain it. Some countries don't let people move, and Somalia is one of them. That was enough for the border guards. He was traveling on a diplomatic passport with a valid visa because he was one of the best officials in his sport and was going to an event that his governing body was holding. None of that was enough to ease the concerns about the background check that 11 hours of questioning had not been able to fix. The way FIFA responded at that time was formal and careful. The governing group said for sure that he would not be in charge of the tournament. It stated that it had nothing to do with the immigration processes of the host country. It made it clear that the choice would not be changed. This happened in the hours after the World Cup started. When its president was asked directly about what was going on, he told the people who were asking him to calm down. Things take a whole new turn here because the reaction from European football was anything but calm. It happened right away, was well coordinated, and had the weight of an organization that knew what it was doing and why. The president of UEFA made a speech that was clear and to the point in every sentence. He stated, "Omaran is an excellent young but already experienced referee who has proven himself at the highest competition level of the Confederation of African Football." He said that football brings people together, and then he said something that really showed how important the meeting was. UEFA wants to show Omar its respect for his great work as a referee, he said. That last sentence, which got him such an honorable nomination, is a clear reference to the FIFA World Cup spot that was taken away from him. UEE wasn't just matching Arton with someone, it was a public and official statement that the people who chose him were right, that the concerns raised at Miami International Airport about his background were not football related, and that European football was ready to say so by giving him the biggest stage it had to offer. The Super Cup match between PSG and Aston Villa in Salzburg on August 12th is not a reward for their loss. The winner of the Europa League will play the winner of the Champions League, one of the most important events in European sports, the first game of the European season. On that night in Salzburg, Arton will be the first referee from Africa to ever be in charge of a big UEFA final. An important event that was meant to happen at the World Cup ended up happening in Austria instead. It was given by a different governing body because the group in charge of the World Cup told them to take it easy. Right now, things take a whole new turn because the reaction from European football was anything but calm. It happened right away, was well coordinated, and had the weight of an organization that knew what it was doing and why. The president of UEFA made a speech that was clear and to the point in every sentence. He stated, "Omar Arton is an excellent young but already experienced referee who has proven himself at the highest competition level of the Confederation of African Football." He stated, "Football is made to connect people." And then he said something that really showed how important the meeting was. He stated, "UEFA wants to show its respect to Omar and his outstanding officiating skills, which had earned him such a prestigious nomination." That last sentence, which got him such an honorable nomination, is a clear reference to the FIFA World Cup spot that was taken away from him. UEFA wasn't just giving Arton a fight, it was a public and official statement that the people who chose him were right, that the worries raised at Miami International Airport about his background were real, and that European football was ready to say so by giving him the biggest stage it had to offer. The head of the CAF's answer was just as important. According to him, Arton had made everyone in Somalia and all of Africa very happy. He said that getting the CAF Referee of the Year award and being picked to work at the World Cup were proof of his world-class skills and the respect he has around the world. After that, he thanked his friend Alexander Sefin directly and warmly for letting Omar be the Super Cup referee. The fact that the president of African football thanked the president of European football in public shows how much it meant to the continent whose official had been turned away. You might want to think about what this series of events says about the way football is run right now. The World Cup is run by FIFA. It has the commercial scale, the prize money, the global platform, and the power to choose officials from anywhere in the world and put them in charge of its competition. It chose Omar Arton. It couldn't keep him from being able to be there, and when he was sent home, the president told everyone to take it easy. European football is run by UEFA. It runs its own competitions, has its own business ties, and has control over the officials who run its games. The World Cup is not run by it. It has nothing to do with what goes on at Miami International Airport. Within hours of Arton arriving in Mogadishu, UEFA confirmed that he would be the referee for the Super Cup final. They worked with CAF to make this happen and issued a statement about it. Arton became the first African referee to ever lead a big UEFA final. An important event that was meant to happen at the World Cup ended up happening in Austria instead. It was given by a different governing body because the group in charge of the World Cup told them to take it easy. There is a clear difference between these two institutional reactions. This is the clearest expression yet of something that has been building up around this event for months. It is direct, deliberate, and can be seen by everyone in the world of football. The growing gap between what FIFA's head says about global football and inclusion and what the organization does when those values are put to the test. This difference is shown in more ways than just the R10 episode. It comes at the same time as Iran's claim that FIFA took back all of their fan tickets days before their first game, alongside 14 Iranian officials who were not allowed to get passes to watch their team play, along with Brial Envelo's Swiss travel authorization being marked for review 10 days before the tournament. An Iraqi striker was held for 7 hours for a phone check, and a team photographer was sent home. There were also formal legal complaints from supporter groups in Europe saying that FIFA was abusing its monopoly power in the ticketing process, together with 8 UEFA members who left a FIFA Council meeting earlier this year. All of these episodes follow the same trend. A group in charge of the event said it was the most open and welcoming in history, with 500 million ticket requests and a message that said everyone is welcome. Faced with a number of documented cases where a statement of commitment or reference to its human rights framework could not close the gap between what it said and what it did. That's not the main point. Artan's selection by UEFA is not just a show. It says something about where institutional power really lies in football when the values the sport says it stands for are questioned. FIFA is in charge of football around the world. It has full control over the World Cup. But any institution that wants to can use its power to say what football really thinks and to act on the values the game says it stands for instead of just saying them in press releases. UEFA put it to the test in Salzburg on June 12, 2026, the day after the World Cup started. There was a game between PSG and Aston Villa, and the judge was from Somalia. He had the right papers and visa, but he was questioned for 11 hours about things that should not have been asked of him. What the whole protest in Europe over the World Cup has looked like. 20 federation heads have talked about boycotts, supporter groups have filed formal legal complaints, and 8 UEFA delegates walked out of a FIFA Council meeting earlier this year. However, the UEFA appointment of the official that the host country turned down is not a single coordinated movement. It's the same result reached by different institutions in different countries using different methods. That the people in charge of this World Cup have not lived up to the standards they said they would, and that the football organizations need to say so using the tools they have. The head of FIFA told everyone to calm down. The head of UEFA said that football brings people together. The institutional story of this tournament can be summed up in those 2 comments that came out hours apart on the same day. And history, which keeps track of what people said and when, will show which one was right. What do you think? You know the difference between institutional belief and institutional gestures because you've watched football through enough cycles. Is what UEFA did, how quickly it was done, how specific it was, how the president personally acknowledged it, and how it led to a historic first. Really a sign of real conviction. And does FIFA's response, not the statement that they don't have anything to do with immigration decisions, the specific order to chill out and relax, seem like the reaction of a governing body that knows what happened to Omar Artan? Omar Artan said it was fate, and that he would be at the next World Cup. He will be the first African referee to ever lead a big UEFA final when the UEFA Super Cup starts in Salzburg in August. He will have had to spend 11 hours in a hallway, take a trip home, be greeted by thousands of people at the airport, and then get a call from the head of European football. No one planned for him to go that way, but the way is now his. It was done quickly, in public, and with real passion, but not by the organization that runs the World Cup. It would mean a lot to me if you liked this. If you like well-thought-out sports coverage, please subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. I read everything. At this level, football is never just a game. It's a split second. And what took place in the week between Miami International Airport and